Hello, and welcome to a new painting tutorial. Today we'll be painting Evangeline. We start the painting process by applying black primer over the entire miniature. This helps the acrylic paints adhere well and give us a good base. For the skin, we apply tan as the base color. Using a mix of 70% tan and 30% flat flesh, we highlight the larger light areas of the skin, leaving the shadow areas in the base color. This gives us the midtones. Next, with the same colors but in a 50-50 mix, we highlight the high points of the skin to enhance the lighting and create another layer of lighter midtones. Using flat flesh, we mark the final highlights by reducing the light area and applying dots of color on the highest points. This technique of building color and light from the darkest base color to the highest highlight, reducing the painting area each time, is very useful for achieving a clean paint job on a miniature. Using black-gray, we paint the rock using dry brushing. As I always mention in these videos, it's very important to use dry brushing correctly to avoid a dusty result. Dry the brush very well and don't rush this process to get the very best results. Using dark blue-gray, we highlight the edges of the rock using the side of the brush. Now, using flat brown, we paint the base color of the hair. Next, with a mix of 70% flat brown and 30% hot orange, we start highlighting the strands of hair using the same technique we used for the skin, reducing the light areas with the lighter paints. Using the same colors but in a 50-50 mix, we continue highlighting the strands. This step might seem repetitive, but since it's red hair, it's necessary to build the color from its darkest tone to achieve a more organic result. Now, with a mix of 30% flat brown and 70% hot orange, we continue enhancing the hair color. Depending on how red we want this element, we can add more hot orange to the mix, reducing the highlight points, or the other way around. Using Choco brown, we paint the leather and fabric elements to maintain some uniformity in the color palette. This color has a reddish tint, making the result more harmonious with the hair and the colors we'll use later. With a mix of 30% Choco brown and 70% Quicksand brown, we highlight the folds and edges of the fabric. Using Quicksand brown, we mark the edges and reduce the light areas. Now, with a mix of 30% Quicksand brown and 70% Khaki, we highlight the skirt and blouse. Followed by using Milkitary green to apply the base color of the outer dress. Now with a mix of 70% Milkitary green and 30% rocket green, we start highlighting the folds of the dress. To that previous mix, we add 10% white to obtain a desaturated green. For the bandages and the fur on the boots, we use Quicksand brown as the base color. We now cover the previous color with Khaki, making this tone more saturated. With a mix of 70% Khaki and 30% Ivory, we start highlighting the bandages, marking the high volumes. Using the same colors but in a 50-50 mix, we highlight the bandages and the fur. And right after that, we enhance the highlights of the various elements. With the entire miniature painted, we can see which areas need more lighting and darker shadows, so we can clean this up at the end of the process. To finalize, let's go to the base. We will use Choco brown as the base color for the wood. Then, we will use dry brushing to apply Quicksand brown and highlight the edges of the wood. Now, with Milkitary green, we paint the base color of the rug. And finally, with a 50-50 mix of Milkitary green and rocket green, we highlight the high folds of the rug. To the previous color, we add 10% white to start desaturating it and enhance the highlights, applying them where the shadow areas begin, creating greater color contrast in this element. And that's it! Just by following these simple steps, you can also have an amazing mini ready to hit the tabletop. Thank you so much for sticking around. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next painting tutorial.